Ladies and gentlemen, let me first of all say how sorry I am not to be in Singapore with you this week and to be part of what, it seems to me at least, is one of the most important international gatherings on the future of the oceans to take place this year. Now, I need hardly say how touched I am that the Economist should have invited me to offer a few reflections on this critical subject by way of this video message, which, although no substitute for being with you in person, does at least possess the virtue of being a low-carbon operation. A few people here and there may have noticed that matters relating to our collective relationship with the Earth have been at the top of my particular concerns for more than, well, I suppose 40 years now. And while this period has witnessed a growing transformation in awareness, it is striking how little attention has been paid to the state of the world's oceans, certainly when compared, for example, to the state of the rainforests or pollution of the air. The fact that a publication like The Economist has chosen to stage such a major event signals how this is beginning to change and is part of a shift in emphasis that is not surprisingly, extremely welcome and happening not a moment too soon. As awareness of the interwoven links between development and the environment has grown, so too has an appreciation of the symmetry between financial capital and natural capital. Natural capital is, of course, a term that draws comparisons between ecology and economics, and the extent to which financial capital can be equated with the value of ecosystems, and crucially, how nature provides services that can be seen as equivalent to the dividends earned from financial wealth. As perhaps is becoming more and more evident, the depletion of capital reserves can jeopardize growth, particularly when unforeseen risks have a disquieting habit of multiplying and then emerging unexpectedly and frequently altogether. Well, this is obviously a particular problem if the anticipated capital replenishment isn't forthcoming. Such, to some extent, is our utilization of the environment, where not only are we actually pretty vague or wholly ignorant in recognizing the value of the essential services that nature provides us, but are even worse at understanding how very vulnerable we have made our capital reserve. In other words, the resilience of our planet's ecosystems to cope with our increasing depredations. Every year, the oceans provide us with tens of trillions of dollars worth of services, ranging from the replenishment of oxygen to the creation of rain clouds, and from the storage of carbon to the productivity of fish stocks. But the manner in which we are using the oceans is placing pressure on the system to the point where some of these and other services can no longer be taken for granted. The effects of climate change, progressive acidification of the seas, the development of coastal dead zones, the build-up of plastic waste, and the widespread contamination by persistent organic compounds are among the changes and pressures that are symptomatic of our failure to protect the ocean's ability to supply dividends indefinitely. Another example, and one which for various reasons is close to my own heart, is the manner in which we have exploited marine fisheries. Justin Mundy, the director of my International Sustainability Unit, or ISU, is, I know, with you in Singapore this week, and will say something about what was discovered following an intense period of research and consultation conducted by my ISU team. But in advance of his remarks, I would just like to say one or two things about the results of the ISU's work that strike me as particularly important. The first is to underline what I see as the importance of the prevailing narrative on marine fisheries, and to suggest some level of change as to how we generally talk about this particular aspect of natural capital. We have, perhaps for very understandable reasons, focused mainly on the negatives, the doom and gloom and the predictions of the collapse of marine fisheries. There is, however, another narrative emerging that is based on the emerging appreciation of just how much more wealth and food security could be derived from wild fish stocks if only they were managed more intelligently. There is an increasingly rich body of material now published on this point, including the World Bank's sunken billions analysis. This particular piece of research estimated that the more sustainable management of fish stocks could lead to a further $50 billion in value being derived from the sector per year. No small sum. In addition to this encouraging development, it is also becoming apparent that many fisheries across the world are in recovery because of the actions being taken by the fishing industry, often in collaboration with a range of other stakeholders. Now, while the positive examples are hugely varied, it does seem to me that there are a number of attributes that unite these cases in terms of the broad approaches they are taking. One is to manage fish stocks as part of the marine ecosystem in which they are embedded. A second is to invest in the capacity to enable robust management of the resource, while a third is to have a sound economic approach whereby the various incentives and rewards linked to fishing are aligned with what nature can provide. Perhaps, however, ladies and gentlemen, the most critical point of departure is the acceptance that the fishing industry is not only inevitably part of the solution as to how we manage marine fisheries better, it is, given the right incentive structure, extraordinarily effective at doing so. I was particularly struck by a trawlerman saying to the ISU that he'd come to realize that the most valuable asset he had was not what he took out of the oceans, but rather what he left in. In other words, a capital asset that even in these difficult times can not only provide a regular income, but, with careful management, even a reliable bonus. Well, there is, of course, much to do. We need, for example, to work out how efficiently to use and connect the finances available to support the changes needed, whether that be changing the direction of perverse subsidies or increasing the support from private finance. We must work together to maximize the transition finance needed to change fisheries for the better for everyone. So I, for one, am optimistic as to what might be achieved, and I can only wish you every possible success in your deliberations this week, and very much look forward to hearing what you conclude.